After taking the blame for her brother, she ended up spending 2 years in prison. During her time there, an unexpected event changed her life. She saved the daughter of the richest man in town, and as a sign of gratitude, she was given $100 million. Once she was released, the first thing she did was call her father, eager to share the good news. However, instead of excitement, he hung up as soon as he heard her voice. Worried that something might have happened at home, she rushed back. Just as she reached the door, she overheard a conversation that shattered her heart. Her brother's wife was complaining about her return, saying she had to miss an important checkup just to take care of transferring property. Her mother tried to reassure her, saying that with a prison record, finding a job or getting married would be difficult for her. She even suggested that she might end up staying at home and causing trouble over the house. Her brother's wife, full of disdain, insisted that she should find her own place to rent because she wasn't willing to live with an ex-con. Listening to their words felt like a deep betrayal. She remembered how her mother used to call her sweet names and how her brother's wife once treated her like family. But now, everything had changed. The home she had dreamed about for 2 years no longer felt welcoming. Despite the pain, she gathered her strength and knocked on the door. Her mother opened it with a surprised expression, pretending she was just about to send someone to pick her up. She forced a concerned look and mentioned how much weight she had lost over the years, acting as if she truly cared. If she hadn't overheard their earlier conversation, she might have believed it. Holding back her emotions, she managed to smile and simply mentioned that taxis were convenient nowadays. As soon as she stepped inside, her brother's wife rushed over and sprayed her with alcohol until the bottle was empty. She claimed it was just to cleanse away bad luck, but her disgust was clear. It was obvious that she looked down on her, forgetting that she had gone to prison for the sake of their family. Without engaging in any arguments, she went straight to her room, hoping to find some comfort. But when she opened the door, her heart sank even further. The room was filled with clutter, and none of her belongings were there. Confused and hurt, she turned to her mother and asked what had happened. Her mother hesitated before explaining that they had stored things in her room because the house was too small. When she asked about her belongings, her mother looked away and admitted they had been sold or thrown away. This revelation was another blow. She questioned why they treated her things as if she had disappeared forever. Her father, who had been sitting on the sofa, casually mentioned that since the house was cramped and her brother's wife was pregnant, they needed space for baby items. Hearing this was painful because she remembered how much her father used to treasure her things, talking about gifting them to her when she got married. Now, it seemed like none of that mattered anymore. The realization hit her hard. She had lost more than just time in prison. She had lost her place in her own family. She asked her family, "Where am I supposed to stay?" Her mother responded by tossing $200 on the table, as if handing money to a stranger. "Take this," she said coldly. "Find a motel or rent a place. It's your choice." A bitter smile formed on her face as she asked, "What about my brother? Does he feel the same way?" At that moment, her brother walked out of the bathroom. With a smile, he assured her, "You're my sister. Of course I'm on your side. If you want to stay here, I'll clear the room for you." His words seemed genuine, and she felt a small sense of relief. She nodded and replied, "All right, I'll stay for a while." But the atmosphere shifted quickly. Her brother froze in place, his expression unreadable. He made no effort to clean the room or fulfill his promise. Confused, she stared at him, unsure of what was happening. Behind she could say anything, her sister-in-law approached, her tone sharp and filled with disdain. "Have you lost your mind? How can you be so selfish? Look around. This house is cramped and there's no space for you. Even if we clear out a room, it should be for the baby. You're an adult now. How can you insist on staying here so shamelessly?" Her heart sank at those harsh words, but she replied quietly, "This is my home too. Is it wrong for me to stay here for just a few days?" The sister-in-law's contempt deepened. "Your home?" she sneered. "This house belongs to your brother now. He's married and you're already 30. Why would you still want to live with your brother? Have some self-respect." She turned to her brother, hoping he would defend her, but he avoided her gaze and said nothing. Her mother looked at her with a dark expression, offering no support, while her father sat silently, smoking a cigarette, as if none of this mattered to him. At that moment, she felt completely isolated. The family's recent rush to transfer ownership of the house wasn't just about avoiding disputes. It was a way to push her out. Her voice trembled as she asked, "Have I done something wrong? Why are you all treating me this way?" The warmth and care her family once showed her seemed like a distant memory. The sister-in-law didn't hesitate to answer. "Before, you could earn money and support the family, so things were fine. But now, you're just an ex-convict. You can't find a decent job or a husband. Why should we care for you anymore? You'll only be a burden to us." Her chest tightened as the cruel words sank in. "So because I'm no longer useful, I mean nothing to you?" she asked, her voice filled with pain. Her mother finally spoke, though her words offered no comfort. "Another mouth to feed is too much for us. You'd be better off renting your own place and taking care of yourself instead of burdening us." The weight of her family's rejection crushed her spirit. She whispered, "A burden? Is that all I am to you now?" She looked at her mother with a pained expression and said, "You are the ones who begged me in tears to take the blame for my brother. You said I'd be the savior of this family, and you'd repay me no matter what. Now that I'm back without even drinking a glass of water at home, you suddenly see me as a burden?" Her voice trembled as she continued, "I've done so much for this family. I gave all my earnings, helped buy this house, and even went to prison for my brother. Don't I deserve at least a small place in my own home?" Her brother, who had been silent for a moment, spoke up. "I know you're upset, but do you think it was easy for us these past 2 years? Having a convict in the family brought shame on all of us. People whisper behind our backs. If you stay here, who knows what they'll say? Can't you think about us for once?" Hearing those words, her heart sank. The brother she had sacrificed everything for now saw her as nothing more than a burden. Everything she had done for him was reduced to nothing. Looking at him with deep disappointment, she replied coldly, "Don't forget, you're the one who should have gone to prison. You're the one who brought shame to this family." She reminded him, "If you really cared about our family's reputation, you should have confessed from the start. Instead, you let me take the fall, and now you blame me for not thinking about you." 2 years ago, her brother and his wife had been driving her car recklessly in the wrong direction when they hit someone, leading to a tragic accident. Her parents had rushed to her, begging her to take the blame. They said her brother had a weak heart and had just started his married life. If he went to prison, it would ruin everything for him. With tears in their eyes, they pleaded with her to protect him, promising they would repay her kindness. She had agreed not for any reward, but out of love for her parents and care for her brother. She sold her car, spent all her savings, lost her job, paid the compensation, and endured all the shame. But she never thought that after sacrificing everything, she would face such betrayal and coldness from her own family. She asked bitterly, "Isn't family supposed to stand by each other? How can love and loyalty disappear so easily when it comes to personal gain?" Her brother's face darkened, and he said, "I've already thanked you for what you did. What more do you want? This house belongs to me now, and my wife is expecting a baby soon. There's no space for you here. You need to leave. We can't afford to support you." In his eyes, her sacrifice was worth nothing more than a simple thank you, and asking for more made her the unreasonable one. Her mother spoke next. "Don't you get it? A woman's future is to marry and have children, not live off her family forever. We hoped to find you a good husband, but now that you've been to prison, no one will want you. Letting you stay here is already a favor to you." Her brother's wife added, "Exactly. You've been in prison, so you'll always struggle in life. If we let you stay here, you'll just bring us down with you." She stood there, speechless, feeling like a stranger in the very home she once called her own. The woman rubbed her belly and spoke without mercy, while the man put out his cigarette and said coldly, "You're grown up now. It's time you understood the importance of contributing to the family instead of causing trouble." Each word felt like a sharp knife piercing her heart. Despite feeling deeply hurt, she tried to stay strong, but her eyes filled with tears. She looked at them and said in a hoarse voice, "No wonder none of you visited me even once during the 2 years I was in prison." She continued, "I thought you were just too busy to come, but now I understand. You only saw me as someone who could make money for you. The moment I couldn't do that anymore, you threw me away without a second thought." She tilted her head back, trying hard to hold back the tears. Then, with a heavy heart, she asked, "So you're all really determined to kick me out today?" Without hesitation, the man replied, "Yes."